Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Hope y'all are grinding well in Warframe. Now, in the midst of YouTube having problems, personally, I've been drowning in work outside of Warframe and gaming in general. So that's my excuse for the slow content right now. Not pretty good, I know, but trust me guys, I'm trying. And we're almost there. We're almost there, guys. I want to take the time to reach out and say I really miss some of you guys. The OG pre-500 subs gang especially. One of them was Angry Midget or Angry Midget, I think. Sorry if I got your name wrong. Also Jinxie, a couple of really nice girl Warframe players, and those guys who really hit it home with the comments like Jess Miller. Please guys, if you're watching this, just say hi down in the comments. Don't even have to watch the whole thing. Say hi just to let me know you're still here. That would make my day, cause all these videos are pointless anyway if you don't enjoy them. In which case, feel free to let me know. Alright, today's content is gonna be somewhat related to the Profit Taker update you console peeps just got. Congratulations! Welcome to the most annoying boss fight ever. So far, at least, in this game. If you haven't already, be sure to hit the marketplace and get yourself some of them new shiny gear. One of which is the Exergis. Tactical Potato made a video on it a long time ago. I know, this video is just gonna be more comparison focused, if you will. And by comparison, I mean putting this thing up against the Arca Plasmor. I've noticed a lot of players comparing this thing to the Tigress Prime. We all know what a powerhouse the Tigress Prime can be, and honestly, I think it's kind of a stretch to compare the Exergis to the Tigress Prime. Instead, I wanted to put this thing up against the Arca Plasmor for a couple of reasons. First, these two Corpus shotguns come with innate radiation. If someone's already looking for a weapon with good radiation damage, and let's say they wanted a shotgun, then these two would be good options to consider. The other reason is the Arca Plasmor, as far as I'm concerned, is the ultimate Corpus shotgun, at least until before the Exergis. It's an amazing weapon for many good reasons, and I kinda feel the Exergis is slightly hyped. Sure, there are players saying that the Exergis is a beast when you mod it right, and I say right with really big quotes because that usually involves a Riven of some sort. Maybe it is better for endgame level enemies due to the massive base damage. The Exergis also has some nice IPS, whereas the Arca Plasmor doesn't, so yeah, whatever. Not saying I'm gonna be biased either way. You guys know me, I always try to consider all the ideas and suggestions from every angle. What we're gonna do here is see which weapon, Exergis or Arca Plasmor, is worth spending your time and resources on, like Forma, Catalysts, and maybe even some Platinum for Rivens. Now, this whole thing is supposed to be more technical than most of my other vids, so I'm not gonna comment too much on the looks of these two bad boys. That doesn't mean you can't sound out your opinions though, so tell me, which one do you think looks better? I actually quite like them both. The Exergis is just massive, like something you just ripped off of a spaceship's turret, and it's not grotesque in any way. And the sound design along with the reload animation is awesome, which is a really good thing since you're gonna be spending most of your time reloading this one-shot pony. And speaking of reloads, let's get into some tests real quick. First up, as always, power test. Level 20 knocks, no mods, you guys know the drill. 12.66 seconds with the Exergis, 8.89 seconds with the Plasmor. That's a significant difference, and trust me, these tests are as consistent and accurate as they can be. The Exergis was actually super unreliable during testing. I was kinda surprised, to be honest. The timings actually varied quite a bit, going as high as 18 seconds on a couple of runs. I had to do some extra passes as a result, and 12 seconds was as fast as this thing could possibly complete the power test with fair consistency. 3 out of 6 runs were around the 12-second mark, so yeah. The Arca Plasmor, on the other hand, was deadly consistent. Only a single frame of variance between the runs. So does that mean the Arca Plasmor is the winner here? I wouldn't call it just yet. Let's take a closer look at the stats first. The Exergis is a one-shot gun, no pun intended, and that one shot ain't exactly hit scan. It's projectile based and has pellets. Not a whole lot of them either, just 3, which is kinda lame for a shotgun. If they had close to 0 spread, then great, but unfortunately that's not the case. I mean, the spread's not terrible, but with 3 pellets, yeah, miss one and that's a third of your damage gone. Trust me, that happens a lot in chaotic situations, a lot more than you think. Which brings me to this special corrupted mod, Tainted Shell. Now what Tainted Shell does is it reduces the spread and fire rate of your shotgun. Fire rate is irrelevant when we are talking about the Exergis, since you have to reload after each shot. Fire rate is the rate at which your bullets are fired. Reload time is a completely different stat, which means it's unaffected. Fortunately in this case. Now would I recommend you putting Tainted Shell on this? Well, at best it's a wash. Seriously, it seems to help with the spread, but then sometimes it doesn't look like it makes a difference. Looks more or less the same. I really can't draw a solid conclusion here. This is pretty hard to test, and just by eyeballing it, I think that slot is better saved for a damage or status mod instead. Or even a multi-shot mod, which is what this thing really needs. Running through the other stats now. 36% status is a beast, but unfortunately guys, the Exergis has terrible crits. I was really thinking of modding this for the Profit Taker, but with 8% crits, yeah, not happening. I would gladly take 30% or even 25% status for at least 20% crits. It's a stretch, I know, but I really wish this thing had more crits. Sure, people are gonna say, you don't need crits. Who even needs crits? This thing has high enough base damage anyway. And to those people I say, you're right. You're probably right. It's just that I wanted to go all in and use this against the Profit Taker. But as we all know, at least all of us on PC at this point in time, crit weapons are the way to go for that fight. Crit chance and crit damage plus as many damage types as possible. But anyway, that's besides the point. Exergis also has 0.5 meters of punch through, which is, yeah, okay, nice, whatever. Don't go out there saying, whoa, this thing has amazing punch through or infinite punch through. Believe it or not, some players said just that without a hint of doubt. Punch through walls and stuff is infinite, I think. Through enemies, 0.5 meters. That's it. It's just a little cherry on the cake. It's nice, although I'm not too sure if you're gonna like this flavor of cake. Which reminds me, let's go and check out the other flavor of cake. Now I'm not gonna examine each and every stat here because the Exergis and Arca Plasmor, while being shotguns, work on completely different mechanics. This here is more of a traditional style but with lots of plasma. So there's not a whole lot you can compare here other than the crit and status chances, 22% and 28% respectively. Now that's what I'm talking about. Flexibility, you can go full on status with a little bit of crits or the other way around, though I'd go with the former setup, or go with my favorite build ideology, the hybrid setup. This alone puts the Arca Plasmor ahead of the Exergis IMO, you can build a solid weapon easily over here since you already get a free tier 2 elemental in the form of radiation. No IPS, yes, hunter munitions can kinda make up for that, but yeah, that's one thing this doesn't have that the Exergis does. The Arca Plasmor also, according to the stats, doesn't have innate punch through. Or does it? I don't know about you, but as far as I'm concerned, this gun punches through some of the thickest Grineer butts in the game all the time. I guess that's just how this plasma shotgun works. It's like radioactive water being thrown at your face. If there's another dude standing behind or beside you, you can sure as heck bet that he's gonna get a little splash as well. Then again, that also kind of applies to bullets now, doesn't it? I don't even know what I'm talking about anymore. Let's move on to the mods section. Now, these builds are never the hard and fast rule, just a general guide which you guys can improve on. With that said, this is how I'd mod the Exergis. No point in going for crits unless you got a Riven. Chilling reload is a must here, but the real debate is going to be between ammo stock, seeking fury, or tactical pump for that last slot. You can use ammo stock if you'd really like 2 shots before reloading. Based on my testing, you'll get the highest DPS by going with ammo stock. I really don't see a good enough excuse for Seeking Fury or Punch Through mods in general. You're only gonna get at most 2 shots here. Don't listen to the peeps who say, oh, you can line them all up and destroy a group of enemies with that Punch Through. Really? Really? When we live in a world that allows this? The longer you spend trying to kill your enemies, the lower your DPS. And that's life advice right there. So what about the Arca Plasmor then? Well, personally, I find myself changing builds really frequently with this gun each time I need it. Nothing serious, just a couple of elemental swaps here and there for the most part. And honestly, there are lots of awesome builds out there for this weapon, like budget builds, endgame builds and whatnot. You can experiment and go with the one that suits you best. I recommend checking out Lazar Gaming for his build videos. Just type in Arca Plasmor build Lazar Gaming. That's Leyzar. But anyway, this would be a good baseline to start off with. If you feel like you need a faster fire rate, then go for faster fire rate with something like the repeater clip mod. Also, Vigilante Armaments is a favorite among peeps, usually with Hell's Chamber for some epic multi-shot, because multi-shot is a very important stat for shotguns, and is one where the Arca Plasmor certainly has a massive upper hand over the Exergis. So you can use those mods, or pile the radiation up with primed charged shell. There is a lack of IPS on this gun, so maybe you might want to consider hunter munitions, but take note that in order for hunter munitions to work effectively, you're gonna need some decent crit chance. In most cases, you're gonna need a Riven to take care of that crit chance. Get it over 60% at least, preferably 70%. But it's okay if you don't have a Riven. The Plasmor is known for being one of the few guns that are able to have up to 3 tier 2 elementals at the same time. And that is really what modding is about with the Arca Plasmor. It's about finding the setup that is most comfortable for you and is most usable, if you know what I mean. Try the weapon out. If you think it's slow, then hey, get the fire rate up. If you actually want more spread, because some people really prefer that with their shotguns, especially ones with great punch through like the Arca Plasmor, which in that case you can pick Vicious Spread. If you think the gun needs more crits, then you know what to do. And that's what all quote-unquote best weapons are about. Versatility, meaning being able to adapt and take on almost any situation while not having drawbacks. So here's where we will conclude my experience using both guns. Which gun is more fun to play with? I'm gonna have to say Arca Plasmor. Massive damage capability, the spread is great, punch through that really is superior to the Exergis. One shot that goes through enemies is nowhere near as awesome as a big splash of radiation that obliterates enemies in its path just as well, or even better actually. For most missions, especially high level ones or Fortuna bounties, it's gonna be chaotic and you're gonna need some proper method of crowd control. While the Arca Plasmor is not what I would call the best crowd control gun in the game, it's still pretty good and definitely so much more capable than the Exergis. So where does that leave us with the Exergis? Well, it's got one thing going for it now as far as I'm concerned, and that is damage. It has a higher damage potential than the Arca Plasmor and really is a status gun. But that doesn't mean the Arca Plasmor can't do status. It can do 100% or get damn near close to 100% without much trouble. So really, this thing is a situational piece of kit, which most players will understand as mastery fodder. Everything's mastery fodder if you don't have use for it actually. I thought about making this thing viable for boss fights, Profit Taker especially, but think I'll just stick with my Rubico Prime for that kind of stuff. These mastery fodder knickknacks are getting really expensive these days, aren't they? I mean, you can buy the repeller systems with standing now, at least on PC. Not sure about consoles, so you guys gotta let me know down in the comments. And yeah, that could very well be the reason why you should probably take a closer look at the Arca Plasmor over the Exergis. Of course, you may think this whole video is wrong, which is totally fine. If you have lots of ideas to add and counterpoints in favor of the Exergis, then please leave a comment down below. Sometimes I find myself learning a lot from him, so trust me, I really appreciate your feedback. As always, if you found the video helpful or even cool, then be sure to hit like and get subbed to this awesome little community we got going over here in just a matter of months. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.